Welcome, everyone. This is David Nevins for Citybiz List, and our guest today is Dr. Jay Bronner, the CEO of American Orthopedic Partners. Jay, welcome to our program.
Thank you, David. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure for sure. So I know I introduced you as the CEO of American Orthopedic Partners, or AOP. AOP, not quite yet, probably a household word. So tell us, what is American Orthopedic Partners, or AOP? What are you trying to do? I know you're building a national medical practice. Share with our many thousands of viewers what that's all about, if you don't mind.
Thanks. It's really excited to have the opportunity to talk with you. AOP is a mission-based national orthopedic practice, and its mission is really to focus on how a group of physicians who are aligned can help innovate clinically and really provide some transformational enhancement and clinical value to the patients that we serve and the healthcare system in general. And by enhancing clinical value, what I'm really talking about is finding ways to drive better patient outcomes or lower cost. And I think that it's really important for a physician practice to be engaged in doing that. And therefore, we structured the practice in a way which we think is most likely to achieve that objective.
Is it fair to say, Jay, that this is about giving orthopedic physicians an opportunity to practice more and do what they were taught to do, and have a little less concern about actually having to run a practice and the economics and the dollars and all of the administrative work concerned with that?
Yeah, in a way that's the case, where some of the things that don't require physician knowledge and clinical knowledge can be done by people under a model which is physician-led. So it's really important in our model that the physicians own and lead the practice. And we recognize, as we did in our prior practice in radiology, that each part of the country is a little different. And what works in one part may not work in the other. So it's local autonomy is a really important attribute of our practice. But what I think is really special and what we're trying to achieve, and the reason I chose to actually consider as a radiologist to actually enter into an orthopedic surgery practice in a meaningful way, is that a lot of what needs to be done in order to truly transform the clinical value proposition in orthopedic surgery requires collaboration between engaged physicians. And while they may be unburdened from some of the administrative part, there's a real challenge and a real opportunity for them to clinically innovate. And I hope to be able to create a platform, as we did in radiology, for them to be able to collaborate, develop evidence-based practices, and then give them the infrastructure and the tools through their own leadership, though, to be able to demonstrate that what they're doing actually impacts care and gets better outcomes and lowers costs to the healthcare system in general.
So, Jay, you've mentioned radiology a couple times, and I would imagine one of the reasons that you were selected and agreed to be the CEO of American Orthopedic Partners is because you've kind of done this before, right? So share with our audience a little more detail about your previous practice, and again, how it relates to building a national orthopedic practice, the purpose of which is to offer better medical care and better outcomes to the community. Is it not?
Yeah, so that was something we were successful in doing in radiology. And I was part of a team that 7.5 years ago, started with a couple of physician practices that grew to the largest radiology practice in the country, over 2,800 physicians, and serving hospitals and patients in many, many states across the country. And a couple of years ago, I was deciding whether I wanted to continue along that track or consider something different. And one of the things that I had the opportunity and the privilege to do while I was in radiology is I led a team on clinical innovation and saw how, with the right culture and the right opportunity and the right resources, some of the resources that scale really brings, you do have the ability to change the way clinical practice is delivered in a meaningful way and improve outcomes and save lives. And when I was looking at potential opportunities on how I wanted to spend the last couple of years of my career, I found that a similar opportunity exists in orthopedic surgery. And that was very motivating for me to be able to recognize that a lot of the values and a lot of the attributes that were very appealing in the specialty I come from in radiology are here as well. And it was that ability to develop scale and to improve clinical value is what motivated me to do this. I understand that we understand growing practices is something that is naturally happening in the orthopedic surgery space. But what's particularly exciting to me is the fact that that there's an appetite for driving clinical value and innovation, and some of the demographic things that are happening in the orthopedic surgery space and the shift from hospital-based care to outpatient-based care really play into that.
So Jay, just following up on your answer, and speaking of taking advantage of and changing culture and resources and outcomes and reputation, I understand that AOP has just added two of the, I guess it's not an exaggeration to say, world-renowned sports medicine and orthopedic specialists to your board and to your leadership at AOP.
Yeah, no, we are really excited about that Dr. Russell Warren of HSS, who was the chief of staff at HSS, and Dr. James Andrews of the Andrews Sports Medicine Institute are both members of our board. And that was the first thing I looked for when starting the development of the team at AOP was, how do I bring physicians on board who have mentored people in the past, who are experienced leaders, who are innovators, and who are passionate about clinical value and quality. And I feel that the direction for that has been set at the top. And as a radiologist, I don't intuitively know all the answers of what the levers are in orthopedic surgery. I know the process, but I don't necessarily know the levers. Having the ability to collaborate with people who have networks across the country, who've trained so many physicians across the country and mentored people in the areas of clinical value and quality is a really exciting part. And it's literally the first thing we did.
And I would imagine, Jay, when you bring people on board as renowned as the two of them and many others, I might add, on your leadership team, that gives you the reputation, and that has helped cause what I understand is quite a bit of momentum in building these practices and getting them to join AOP. Are you free to kind of share where you are in that regard, and either geographically or just in terms of your business plan in building AOP?
Yeah, we are really excited by the receptivity in the market to our model. Our model is one where physicians lead. And again, Dr. Andrews and Dr. Warren, prime examples, they're leaders of our practice. And we have a foundational principle that physicians lead their practices locally and nationally. So we have partnered with practices in the Chicagoland area, Hand to Shoulder Associates, under the leadership of Dr. Michael Bender, and in New York, Sports and Joint, under the leadership of Ken McCullough, and are about to partner with another practice in the Los Angeles area, hopefully by the end of this week, could be as late as early next week, and many others under process of development in the New York, in the Florida area, and others in California as well. So we will be a national practice, and part of that is strategic in that we recognize that best practices in different parts of the country can be shared in the right environment so that everybody gets the opportunity to benefit from each other. And that was something that we learned in our prior years, that sometimes different regions are influenced by academic medical centers more heavily so than others. And the ability for physicians who are engaged, who are all part of the same mission, can really share and collaborate in a very meaningful way. And that's one of the real advantages of being national. And in addition, to be able to take advantages of the advantages of scale.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, Jay, you've I guess you kind of really hit the nail on the head, and congratulations on the success you've had thus far in getting these orthopedic practices to join you. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is about making, maybe contrary to what some people might think when they hear that their the medical practice that they use has been bought by somebody or has affiliated with somebody. This is about making medicine better for the patient.
Yeah, to be honest, that is the reason why I was attracted into going into the orthopedic surgery space, seeing that the demographic shift creates that opportunity to really do something significant in clinical innovation. And as our population ages, and as the incidence of orthopedic disease only increases in the country, who else but physicians? Physicians that have access to capital and access to the tools that will allow them to clinically innovate. Who else but physicians should be doing that? And that's what's really exciting about it for me. That's why I was willing as a radiologist to take the chance and say, I'm going to go into a space that a specialty I don't necessarily know intrinsically as well, but I do know how to grow practices, and I do know how to drive clinical innovation and participate in that. So it's a really exciting opportunity for us.
That's great, Jay. Before I let you go, and I know you've been working really hard, and so many of our viewers have, as the result of COVID, we've all been kind of cooped up for the last 18 months or so. So totally off topic question that we've been asking some of our other interviewees. So it's summertime and you can't be working all the time. So do you have any vacation plans on the books that have been delayed and you're finally going to get out of the house or out of the office? What are you and the family up to?
Well, we are hoping to take some time off in September, end of September, early October. And one of my passions is foreign language. And for that reason, I love traveling to Europe. We're not 100% sure yet if we're ready for that. So if not, we're going to try and escape to some island in the Pacific and spend a couple of weeks together with my family and still be in communication in the United States. So we're thinking of going to Hawaii, but really looking forward to it.
Well, I wish you the best, and you probably already know that in Hawaii, which is I hear pretty crowded nowadays.
Yeah,
they speak English there, so I don't.
Yeah, won't get to use the foreign languages there, but
but the doctors I know speak foreign language to me all the time. Anyway. Anyway, Jay, thank you so much for being with us. And our guest today has been Dr. Jay Bronner, the CEO of American Orthopedic Partners. You're going to be hearing and reading a lot more about them as it has a positive effect on your medical care going forward. Jay, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you, David.
And to our viewers, thank you for watching. This has been David Nevins on behalf of Citybiz List. Thank you so much.